First question that I would like to ask is, how can we use telemedicine in our practices? So we are doctors, we are different kinds of doctors. Some of us are general practitioners, some of us are family medicine people, some of us are specialists, some of us are pathologists, radiologists. I have had a whole plethora of questions on how can I use telemedicine in my practice. So let's start this by asking Dr. Ravindra. Dr. Ravindra Wankhedkar, how do you suggest that we can practice this, and how can we use telemedicine in our practices? Dr. Ravindra. We can't hear Dr. Ravindra. So by the time the comes on, I will ask Dr. Gulati. Could you please enlighten us on what you think is the areas that we can actually use telemedicine in our daily practice?
Thanks, Dr. Shinoy. I think this telemedicine is something which we've used for donkey's years. The only thing is that we were using it without the term of telemedicine because all of us are friends, all of us are social beings, and over a period of time, who has not got a telephone? Yaar, mere kaan mein dard ho rahi hai, main kya karu? So if I look at it that way, that has been the telemedicine. But it is only now that I realize that telemedicine in the form what we were doing was actually not a practiced or acceptable thing. It is now that the MCI, after the 25th March notification of this year, they brought in the concept of legalizing and officially making telemedicine a practical issue. So telemedicine comes into the picture that what exactly we are going to do is I can give a primary consultation, a secondary consultation, a follow-up consultation, and how I go about it would be the modalities which I think we'll be discussing over a period of time. And something like, every question that is asked, how do I give it? How do I talk to the person? What prescription I give? How do I go about prescribing or treating the patient will be, I think, what we'll be discussing over a period of time now.
So what you're saying, sir, is that basically we can classify the usage of telemedicine as far as consultations are concerned into primary and then follow-up consultations. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, Dr. Ajay, what do you say? Where can we use this telemedicine? So there is a primary consult. I understand that primary consult is the first time you are seeing a patient, right?
Right.
And then there is your own patient whom you are following up.
True.
So these are the two broad categories that Dr. Achal said. What would you say, Dr. Ajay? What would you like to add?
In addition, I would like to add emergency teleconsultation also, where in case of an emergency, a person calls you up and you just guide him what is to be done as an immediate care and where he has to go for urgent care. That is another way that you can really guide a person on telemedicine. Secondly, in cases of such calamities, natural infectious disease, the way we are facing today, telemedicine has, out of the blue, it has gained so much of importance because of the lockdown. People unable to commute so much distances and not allowed to come out of their house. Telemedicine plays a really very important role.
So you're saying that you can use primary consultation, follow-up of cases. Then you said you can also use them in emergency in triage, because you can actually say, yes, there's a problem, you should do this, that's triage. And then you are saying you can also use them in cases of a calamity like ours, where we are locked down, and provide access to proper consults. Dr. Ravindra, what do you say, sir? Where can we use? Dr. Ravindra, sir. Why is Dr. Ravindra muted? Is there a problem?
So there's a technical issue. So will join us later, sir.
So, Dr. Gulati, you were saying that there is so let me understand what we are saying today, and I will come to you, sir. There is this way. So when I look at how can I practice telemedicine, we say that there are different scenarios, what we call use cases. So one use case is I have a fresh case which is coming in, then I have my own patient, and then I have emergency, and then I have a calamity. These are the four broad categories that have been brought in here. Now, I would like to go a little deeper into this. Dr. Achal, when I say primary consult, that is, I've not seen the patient earlier, it's a new patient. Therefore, I don't know the patient. What do you think about this consultation? What are the limitations that are there Because I have not seen the patient.
See, when the patient approaches me for a teleconsult, that's the first thing that he has approached me. Now, that's a very important thing when he approaches me. So he's giving a consent for me to manage him. Now, he has a problem. He tells me his history. Over here, I can elicit a history from him. I can go into a deeper questions. If he has what ways and means he has got, either he goes audio with me, or he goes on a video with me, or he goes on an audio visual thing with me, WhatsApp, message. So all these are the various aspects in which he can consult with me. But having said that, once I'm taking the history, I have to look into it. With whom am I talking? I have to verify the identity of the person, and only then I proceed after taking his consent over here. Now,
I'll come to consent a little
the
later.
patient has approached me as number one, as a direct patient, or he has approached me through another caregiver or a consultant to a consultant approach. So these three are the various approaches that I may be approached for a teleconsult. So on an individual basis, once he has approached me, I only have his history at present. I have not been able to examine him. So that is one of the very drawbacks of the teleconsult at this point of time in the primary care. So when I'm looking at primary care, I need to keep one thing in mind. Whatever I'm doing, I have to stay within the realms of the acts of the medical council, which are as they are existing. So I cannot break those rules and regulations of giving any consultation. So I have to be very sure my diagnosis is correct and I need to analyze it. So first is going to be the history taking. If I can read something, I advise him something, or I can ask for an investigation. So this becomes a primary consult. Then it comes as a follow-up consult. That is.
Can I hold on here, sir, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Let me clarify what you said. So there is a person whom you have not met before. They have consulted you, and you have taken their history. It is possible that they may have shown you some reports which you can see, and on that basis you are able to give them some advice.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, thanks to the guidelines that have come in now, and we are mixing this, and I'll go the guidelines a little later. What you are saying
I am
is
now
that,
on my laptop.
Thank you, sir. We can hear you, Dr. Vankhedkar.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Took a little while, but Dr. Vankhedkar is here. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining. Appreciate that. So, Dr. Gulati, coming back to primary consult, I have taken your history. I have seen your reports, but I'm still limited to the amount of prescription or the kind of prescription I can give you by the MCI guideline which is coming. That's one. So, based on this, there are a lot of platforms where there is this whole business of chatting happening. You can chat and ask a question, and then can get an answer for that. Now, under the MCI guideline, the doctors who have been chatting till now, where will they go now? And I would like Dr. Gulati and then Dr. Ravindra to answer this question.
Where will they go now, meaning?
Is this going to be, can they actually advise something? Because they've been advising treatments, creams, beautician,
See, the responsibility of taking a decision and managing will depend upon the wisdom of the treating physician, whether it is in person or online. So this is one important thing which everyone has to keep in mind. So whether you're going to diagnose it and prescribe him, or you are going to manage him, or you are going to ask him any other specific investigation, or you are going to ask a healthcare giver to examine him and give you the information, this will depend upon the wisdom of the person with whom the teleconsult is happening. So this is one thing which you need to keep in mind.
Teleconsult, I was just talking about the chat system. Anyway, I'll come to this question again. Dr. Ravindra, what would you like to say?
Yeah, hello everyone. I hope I am audible now.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Sorry for the technical glitch. And I first would like to congratulate Dr. Shenoy for hosting such a telecon on such an important and burning issue. My first thought would be that worldwide now all physicians are racing ahead to accept this technology. Though entirely agreeing to Dr. Gulati sir that we were always doing our telephonic consultations. But now I think the fear of one's life has really motivated the physicians worldwide to accept and rush for this technology. And hence, in this context, we should see today's this webinar, and that is why you deserve once more to be congratulated.
Thank you. Okay, so going forward, there are two broad ways that we are seeing now. There is a patient who's come in fresh, and you don't know them, and therefore you can only prescribe according to the wisdom. And there is a MCI guideline which is actually restricting you from actually writing whatever you want to. You can't write everything there. There is a restriction there. We'll come to that later. Then you have a follow-up. Now the follow-up could be of different kinds. The first follow-up, as doctor was that, let us say the patient is a chronic disease patient, and or they are post-surgical. They have gone home after surgery, and now they want to do a follow-up. Can telemedicine help in this case, Dr. Ajay?
Definitely, definitely the telemedicine is of much use in such patients. Post-surgical patients, it becomes difficult for them to pay too many visits too frequently unless they have to undergo some dressings specifically to be done by the surgeon or at the same place. A person at home post-operatively can always call up his surgeon and take advice telephonically. And if he has any specific problem, he can also appear on the telephone. He can be on a video calling, show his problem. And because the surgeon has done surgery recently, he would be knowing a lot about the patient and he would be able to recognize things easily. So that would be a follow-up consultation. Definitely,
Yes.
it is of help.
So one thing here is that you use the word telephone. I would like to get into the telephone part a little later, because we will talk to Mr. Bhola about the telephone part of this when we are talking about the legal part, because there is a Supreme Court judgment which actually limits us on the methodologies that we can use. But yes, Dr. Rajay, you were saying something that about video consultation, and actually teleconsultation is a boon for people who are coming from post-op, because if you had a orthopedic surgery, you are in a plaster, you can't walk. This is the best way to actually follow up with your patient. The patient is a big problem for them to come. Now, a lot of times what happens is patient comes to you from far away, maybe even from outside the town, and you see the reports and then you just write 2-3 words, right? Continue same treatment. So that can be probably helped a lot. Next follow-up could be, there could be a situation that you have patients admitted in a hospital, your own hospital, and you are called away on a family emergency to another place, or you have gone on a conference. Can telemedicine be utilized to continue to supervise treatment for your own patients which are admitted in hospital? Dr. Gulati, would you like to say something?
Yes, I think for advice, yes. But keep one thing in mind. A person in India cannot teleconsult outside India. He has to be within the realms. A person from outside, who's a national from outside, may not be able to teleconsult for India because we are governed by the Acts of Registration in the Medical Council. But otherwise, as far as the advice is concerned, there is no harm if I've been managing a patient and he's coming for a repeat consult with me or a follow-up, and I'm out of town, I can easily teleconsult with him without a problem.
So great. So one scenario was primary consult, then was follow-up. Within follow-up, we realize there are a lot of things that we can do. In follow-up, one is the patient has gone home and he can consult from there after surgery or if he is having chronic diseases. Second scenario was patient is admitted, you are in another city within India, and you can actually follow up with your patients. A lot of problems, doctors have this, that they are traveling, and they have patients admitted, and they would like to do a consult with them. So you can actually do that. That's what Dr. Gulati said. How about the fact that patient is admitted in the hospital, and you are at home, and there is an emergency, you're not able to come? Can you provide a consult for an emergency or a on-call while you are at home and patient is admitted? Dr. Bedi, what would you like to say to that?
You're asking me?
Yes,
Yeah.
doctor. Yes.
Shinai, I don't know the legal aspect of it. I would really like to know. Yeah, I would really like to know. But a patient in emergency being managed by telemedicine, maybe if you have very competent RMPs there who are caring for the patient at the same time when you are trying to manage, I think it only makes sense then. Even with a healthcare worker, I don't think an emergency should be managed on by telemedicine if you are at home due to any reason, I would say.
So, word of caution, yes, you can manage your patient provided they are being looked after in the hospital by another doctor. So that's excellent. Thank you very much. That's another case that you can use it for, because there have been a lot of people asking us this question: how can I use it? How can I use it? So now we have created so many uses of how you can use it. Primary, you can do triage. Yes, I'm coming there, said Dr. Ravindra. Then you can use it for follow-up. In follow-up, there are different things you can do. Then, yes, Dr. Ravindra, what would you like to say?
So, we can use it for multiple purposes, not only for primary consult, but for follow-up in dire emergencies. But one always has to remember that this can't be a substitute for actually seeing the patient whenever it is possible. Telemedicine should be exclusively reserved when the physical conditions are such that directly you can't see a patient in whatever reason may be there.
Correct. So I can see a lot of use cases for telemedicine that we have created. I can share one from my own example, that there was this interesting company which had ECG machine which they had put on a tele ECG, and they would send it to rural areas, and you can upload the ECG from there. And the doctors, sitting in a cardiac center in a town, would actually read those ECGs and provide treatment, or actually say that this ECG is abnormal, come over to us and we will help you out. So triage is a very important part. Now